Welcome back to Miracle Trigger. Again, we are covering the 3 Oracle Think Tank decks that you can build in Miyagi Academy today. And right now we're going to be doing my favorite of the 3, and that is CoCo. So CoCo's a very powerful deck. You can draw a ton of cards, but it just doesn't have this really big flashy payoff, and I think that's why most people aren't too impressed by it. It does struggle against Excel clans, but I don't think it's really even possible for a Force clan to beat you. So you got that going for you at least. But yeah, let's start things off with our grade 0s and we'll see how the deck runs. Again, I did just have surgery done, so I might have a little bit of a weird sound for my voice. Hopefully it doesn't bother you too much, and that has been why my videos haven't been getting uploaded for the last little bit. Anyways, with the grade 0s, we have Lozenge Magus as our starter. We have 6 crit and then 6 draw. We run the little bit of extra draw here because we want to be able to meet a lot of the hand requirements that the deck has, so that's a little bit more important right now than most Oracle Think Tank decks, and then 4 heal triggers. As far as the grade 1s, we're going to be running 4 Sprout Witch Lolo. This is the grade 1 that you want to see the most of in most cases. On rearguard, when it boosts an attack that hits a Vanguard, you can counterblast 1, put it into your soul, and draw a card, which is very good. And then when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Witch in its card name is placed on Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1, call this card to rearguard, which is super powerful. It basically allows an infinite loop of putting this card on the field and drawing with it. It's a lot of pressure and it's field presence, which is good. We're going to be running 4 Tetra Maggots with that. When placed, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you can counterblast 1, draw a card, and reveal 1 crit from your hand, put it on top. So basically, you're not going negative any cards and you are stacking a crit on top, which is very good. This is a crazy good card. This is probably the card I'm most excited for, to be honest. And then 4 Oracle Guardian Gemini. Again, it's just an unflipper if you're at 3 or more damage. So next up, we have 4 Topaz Witch Peepee. On Vanguard and Rearguard, if you have 4 or more cards in your hand, this unit gets plus 2,000 power. So pretty good. It allows you to basically hit all the numbers. The only problem with this card is that it's an 8k base, which means your opponent can basically poop on you if they're being aggressive enough. When rode upon by a Witch card, though, you can Soul Blast 1 to draw an extra card. And you're going to want to be drawing as many cards as you can to go along with Battle Sister Tort. On Vanguard or Rearguard, during your turn, if you have 10 or more cards in your hand, this card gets plus 10,000 power. So originally I ran 2 of this and 2 Yellow Witch Meme. However, I think that just having a little bit more pressure is really important in this deck. That's why I added the draw triggers, because putting this on your field just has a lot more pressure if you can get to that 10 cards in hand, and checking the top card of your deck isn't as important in that sense. So yeah, that's why we're running this card. It's super powerful. Swinging for 18 and a crit on its own is insane for pressure, and it can get even bigger depending on which grade 3 you're on, but we'll get to that later. And finally, we have 4 Rectangle Magus. When placed, you can Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, rearrange them, and then draw a card afterwards. And of course, whenever you drive check it and it reveals a trigger, this card gets 5,000 power until the end of the turn while it's on rearguard. All these cards are super powerful. Topaz Witch is a little bit low on the power rating, in my opinion. I don't know why it couldn't be a 9k, but that's fine either way. And we're going to be moving on to the grade 3s. So the basically reason that you're building this deck is Scarlet Witch CoCo. When you ride this card onto a grade 2, you can draw a card. So you might notice that that matches with Topaz Witch Peepee pretty well, because when you basically go grade 1 Topaz CoCo, you can draw 2 extra cards for a Soul Blast 1 when you hit grade 3. And of course, Lolo's skill allows you to call her out from Soul to Rearguard when your grade 3 rides if it's a Witch, which goes off again. So Soul Blast 2, draw 2, and call a card to Rearguard. All of that's really good. If you don't ride this onto a grade 2, don't worry too much. She does have another ability, and that's Act once a turn. You can Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast a grade 3, draw 2 cards, then you can discard any number of Witches from your hand and add that many Protect gifts to your hand. So that's kind of a weird effect. I know that drawing 2 is fantastic on its own, and a lot of the time you're just going to be doing that because unless you're way ahead, adding a lot of Protect gifts to your hand isn't actually great because you need to discard cards to use them. However, if you are very far ahead and you can load your hand with these gifts, well, that might work out because of Wisteria Witch Zozo. So on Vanguard, when she attacks, you can show your opponent every protect gift in your hand, and then 3 of your units in the front row get 5,000 power for each gift. So let's say you have 4 in your hand, which is pretty common. Your front row will be up 20k. That's so good. Like, it's so good. On top of that, if this card's attack ever hits a Vanguard, you can counterblast 1 to draw a card. So that's great on its own as well. It adds a lot of pressure to her in general. You're building up your board and spreading the pressure across it, and yeah, this is a fantastic card. Now the last grade 3 is something I've kind of been looking at. I've been testing with it a little bit lately, and honestly, it's way stronger than I thought it was, and that is Oracle Guardian Bia. On rearguard, when it attacks, it gets plus 2,000 power for each card in your hand. Now, a lot of the time, you're going to be having 10 cards in your hand because basically the deck runs around being able to hit Tort's ability, and, you know, it consistently does. And then we have Oracle Guardian Bia. So on one side, they'll have an 18k Tort, which is sometimes getting buffed up by Zozo, and on the other hand, they'd have a 32k Bia also being buffed up by Zozo on top of that. So this card adds a ton of pressure. It's a massive swing number a lot of the time, and I really like it lately, actually. I didn't think I would, but it's kind of becoming the star of the show. So yeah, the witches are kind of hit or miss for me, and it just feels really fun and fulfilling when the deck goes the way you want it to. However, sometimes it just doesn't. So what do you guys think of the deck? What do you guys think of the witch archetype in general? Let me know in the comments section down below. And of course, I'd like to thank the Patreons Decimus and Akuiaza for their support. They allow me to do more giveaways, and if I'm ever off again for surgery or for whatever else, hopefully I can get some editors onto the channel. But in general, I just want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you with the Magus video very shortly if I can get it edited quickly enough. In the meantime, though, I should have the Imperial Daughter deck already up, and if you want to watch that, you absolutely can. This has been Miracle Trigger. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.